Welcome to InnerTV. I'm your host, Althea Provost, and today we have a special guest, a fellow star sister and peer, Meg Benedicte. In this interview, we will explore her book, Soul Realized, Unlocking the Sacred Keys to Becoming a Divine Human. I'm sure it'd be hard-pressed for starseeds out there to not know who Meg Benedicte is, but nevertheless, let me introduce you. Meg Benedicte is a quantum healer, an Ascension Activator, and a creator of Quantum Access, a powerful healing technique that quickly shifts consciousness, unlocks karma, and removes energetic patterns to accelerate your personal ascension. In 1994, Meg Benedicte experienced a spontaneous Kundalini Activation that opened her energy body to accept an Avatar Angelic Walk-In, adept in Alchemy and Ascension. And Meg opened to the guidance and wisdom of her higher self and personal connection with Archangel Metatron. She catapulted into a revolutionary ascension process. Tapping into ancient mystery school knowledge from past incarnation in Lemuria, Sirius, and Tepi, Egypt, Meg has developed a time-tested Ascension Activation program for all seeking soul integration. For the past 20 years, Meg Benedicte has been sharing Quantum Access in her private healing practice with international audiences in webinars, global meditation, radio shows, and her book, Soul Realized, Unlocking the Sacred Keys of Becoming a Divine Human. Welcome, Meg Benedicte.
Thank you, Althea. It's thrilled to be here with you.
Excited for this. In your book, we start out with an awakening, and you walked into a body in 1959. How old was your physical body at that time?
She walked in 94. She was born in 1959, so I was 30, she was 34 when I fully integrated in, although I have to say, as I look back before 34 years old, it looked like my soul was still rather present, but more in, we'll call it the astral plane or, in the aura, and not as directly driving the life, but maybe doing a little self-corrections at times. But then in 94, I came fully in.
Now, when one goes through that process, has your soul had that type of incarnational cycles previous lifetimes? Was it new to you this time?
No, it seems to be the only way I've come here. I've been to Earth about, I think it's 10 times, and it always seems to be coming in through a walk-in situation. And it's very rare and unusual, and so I had to ask my soul, why do you do it this way? This is crazy. What are you thinking here? But the benefit is that I'm able to kind of drop in and avoid encountering the matrix simulation. So I'm able to keep my channel open and chakras open and be able to maintain that direct link to the higher self and to spirit without getting so fully lost in the density here. So I think that's the reason why it chooses to come in that way.
So as your soul came in, it was working with your adoptive family's energetic matrix to clear kind of like those miasms or that particular energetic matrix, the backdrop for your work, to give you the cellular knowledge, you could say, to do some of the things that you were either coming here to clear or coming here that you needed to carry, correct?
Yes, it was very interesting because I kind of, just to make it easier for my mind to figure, I would call her Meg 1 and Meg 2. So when Meg 1 was an adopted child at birth, and so in a way, just to make it even more complex, I wanted her natal chart, birth family genetics, and then I wanted the adopted family patterning, because their systems, because that family had some like abuse program systems and Catholic systems, and there's systems that she wanted to come in and really dismantle, and she wanted to come into the birth family genetics, which is French and German. It's European. It's also what we would call hybrid. It's reptilian-human hybrid code. There's also some royal code there that was definitely reptilian. So coming in and also working on that angle of dismantling that code as well. So it was a bit of both sides getting some work there.
This could be kind of complex for people who might not have that understanding, but from my point of view, I mean, I'm following you. First of all, I'm not a walk-in, and I didn't have an adoptive family, and I did go through the birth canal, but I came in with memory, a lot of memory, and my soul was intact. What I found is that, like you, I was here to clear the genetic codes from my birth family. Yes. So I took on a lot of what you call corrupted codes. So pedophilia, any type of superiority issue, that type of thing. Those are things that I came in to clear, and my soul wanted to remind me, as if not to go into the amnesia, come in and clear that. So family history was huge for me, even as a child. I mean, a burning desire. So that was part of the soul keeping me on track to remember to do the homework, locate my family's history, 12 years, I was a little OCD, and clear also the OCD. So following you along, you came in to clear this genetic, especially that ritual abuse program that came with your birth family.
Yes.
So you're seeing that as oppression and control mechanisms to the human consciousness.
Yes, it's definitely like an enslavement operating system that keeps us at real deficit energy levels, power levels, and it look at how it just affects everything, the physical, the mental, and emotional bodies. All are getting just suppressed, oppressed, and also a very authoritarian patriarchal family. My father was a rageaholic and really ruled the roost with a tough, hand, and so having to also deal with fears of the aggressive, violent masculine, how to clean that out, to be able to embrace my own masculine energy and be able to come more into balance inside and really extricate myself from that patriarchal system. I also saw that system in the Catholic religion as well. So it was just trying to, how it is like you're just peeling off these layers and kind of pulling away from this prison of oppression that you've come into. But as you know, then, as you continue to dismantle it and pull free from it and pull your power from it, it starts to lose its power. It starts to collapse. So this is how we're doing it, and it's pretty extensive. All the starseed lightworkers are doing this in their own ancestral lineage as well.
Great. I think that this is widespread. It's interesting. I think as we clean up our own hologram, right? And since we are one, we're really weakening that entire system because it no longer is being empowered by the one.
Yes. It's really dissolving. Yes. It's like a house of cards. It's collapsing because we pulled the power from it.
And at the same time, this is I guess you could say it's a prism, right? So everything on this planet has its play and its say. And so when they send in someone like yourself, did not go through the birth canal to really get in here and start doing the cleanup crew, how can you affect the reality more than someone who is birthed and going through the awakening process very slowly over time?
Yeah. That's such a great question out there, because as I would go into kind of the timeless now and view things, like kind of do remote viewing, I kept seeing my soul was actually coming in from the future, and I don't think originally I was going to be here in the ground troops. I think I was going to help from the other side, but what was happening as we were getting closer to 2012 was, I would say the 10 years before 2012 they were pivotal, and not enough of the starseeds, the light workers, were able to really power up, get free of the matrix enough and be able to increase their frequency enough and really embody enough soul light presence yet. And so we were seeing, in a sense, the projection of the timeline going towards 2012 was not on plan, and we did not have enough light quotient on the planet yet. So I think a lot of us decided to come in from the future, drop in before things started going wonky, and begin to help hold the light frequency here with all those who are already here. So kind of think of it like, an extra ground troops came in to just hold space and bring in the light in and stabilize the planetary field as much as we could. And that way then we really started picking up speed. And as you can tell from 2012 to now, it's just gone so fast and accelerated. So I think that was one probably the main reason why I ended up coming in at this time in this life and in those codes and systems and just help with the dismantling.
In your book, you also talked about the Kundalini wake-up. So you went through a Kundalini wake-up that essentially just burst open another layer, and the peeling back of those illusions and ego identity. Have you found that other people are starting to have spontaneous Kundalini awakenings?
Not like that. I haven't seen that to that extent.
I haven't either.
No, I do see people getting more and more Kundalini growing inside them, but it's a bit more gradual, so it isn't as harmful to the body. You know, when you get like lightning bolts in your body like that, it's really rough. It's tough. So I think it's better that everyone, since things are picking up speed since 2012, people are holding more Kundalini and it's building and growing inside them. I know when I first started working with clients years ago, they didn't really even feel what I was doing with them. You know, they were their biocircuits were open enough to feel the light current yet, but now it seems like everybody is turned on and their Kundalini's moving. They're able to feel it. They're able to feel soul essence inside. So it's really I'm so thrilled to see that this is happening. So it doesn't, even I've worked with maybe, let's say, not even maybe 5 walk-ins. I've worked with thousands of Starseeds Lightworkers, maybe 5. It's very rare. And they did not, as far as I can remember, have one big old slammer, you know, like I did. So theirs was, again, more than often an NDE, where the original host soul actually vacated, you know, and they were able to come in. Mine didn't do that. Mine didn't leave. I had to actually work with her for 20 years. We coexisted. It was not easy, especially because she wasn't an evolved soul. So it was a bit of a push-pull kind of schizophrenia thing going on there while we worked together, I guess, as best we could. I could work with her. I guess it allowed me into her reality. You know, she was a draconian soul, and so it allowed me into their world, and it allowed me into even like the corporate system. And I had a secret clearance with the military. It allowed me into all these kind of what we call, you know, low vibratory systems. But it's eventually I helped her evolve enough to transition and return from her origin in the Orion belt, and I was able to finally take over the entire body consciousness and the life, and so I'm in this conversion now of clearing out her code, which is a lot of purging, clearing out her hybrid code and replacing it with my own soul DNA. So this is, I think, very rare. The Kundalini is building up more gradually for people, and it's a more harmonious experience.
Are you finding that clients are being able to hold their own energy field intact, you know, through either your Vortex system or through their own?
Yes, and they're understanding that it is kind of a practice you have to put in place to maintain it. So I'm seeing everyone get more disciplined with just, you know, watching the energies, what they bring into their bodies, you know, what they engage with around them, making sure that they're doing grounding so they can run the light current as it's building in them. So it's really great to see they're understanding this isn't just some kind of a short little thing you do and you're done. Now, this is a lifestyle that, you know, when you commit to it, you're in it, and you're holding space for this complete transformation to happen within you. So you learn what you need to add in to help that process and as best you can ease any of the stress from the body.
And Starseeds, what Meg is talking about is soul integration, and this is a part of the process that she has taught for 20 years, which is a quantum vortexial energy system that is enclosed, like your energetic body is enclosed within its own auric field, building up the light quotient, or we call it Kundalini life force, and therefore running that system. So not only are you self-responsible for how you're utilizing your consciousness, because light is consciousness, but you're also self-responsible for how you direct your consciousness into the world.
I think that's such a great point, too, Althea, because what I've noticed is as we do this reverse spin vortex, it's unlocking time compression and unlocking density and gravity, and it opens the field up. We can then start to get into our energy field and our energy body. And it's a conversion from having your physical reality, we would call it, your particle field. Your physical reality is manifesting based on what's coded into you. And at times it can be really hard locked in. So as we're reverse spinning and we're unlocking that compression, it allows us to start to become what I call this divine human. It allows us to start to actually manifest our particle field based on the consciousness that's running through us now, instead of this old code that's been locked in the past.
In terms of old code, so, for example, we understand, both you and I, that we've had genetic codes from our birth family. So we're moving
Yes.
out lack and limitation, as well as just programmed viewpoints that gotten hardened
Yes.
into the bioenergetic system over generations. So, for example, if I had a perception, a misperception, and a miscreation in some type of avenue, let's just say stealing, I had to steal to make my living because for whatever reason that kept being perpetuated down the family line. Well, that code therefore keeps, it's almost like a glass ceiling from being able to move out of and into a liberated state where you can then attract to you what you need vibrationally rather than having to go steal it.
Yes, it's like a ceiling's a good analogy. It's like a frequency fence that holds it in place. And if you look just even in a lot of research where they say that we get patterned during the pregnancy from our birth mother, so we have a lot of that patterned in, passing down the generations from the family, that is running in a sense kind of in the background. It's running in the unconscious. And this is where, so we watch how our outer reality mirrors to us where we're out of balance, and then we can start to focus on, okay, well, where is that pattern and code running in me? Let's get this out. So then, like you said, you start to liberate yourself, so then you can really open up to attracting and magnetizing in what matches your soul frequency now that's growing inside you, instead of these really kind of old corrupted patterns and codes that we're drawing in that reality. So what a game changer. It really changes your life reality.
Oh, I agree. And Soul Realized, you talked about a 1997 channeled reading that you had with a gifted visionary. And here in this particular exchange, you were able to connect to a parallel aspect of your oversoul. So really, you went past the glass ceiling and into a higher vibration of who you are on a wider level, one could say, on the grander level. And you connected to, you saw yourself as an elder of the High Council. What council were you working with?
Yes, so as I started to go into these expanded, kind of trance-like states, I would begin to remote view where aspects of my oversoul was existing, and I kept getting pulled into this space in Sirius that was, it looked like, this big like conference room with the big round table, and all the elders are there, and they were, and so I was like, a little fly on the wall, and just popping in and connecting in, and realized I was like tethered, like a light cord to one of the elders, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm supposed to be paying attention here. So I would, and this kept happening repeatedly. I would just find myself in that room with them and listening in. And most of the discussions were about how to help Earth, how to help this ascension that's happening here. And those probably, because that's my mission, those were the conversations that I kept kind of dropping into. And over time, as I was getting acquainted with them and seeing how they operate, and they were so fascinating because they have this blue tinge to their light. Their energy is more of a deeper blue, indigo blue that they radiate, and they were very, what I would think of more as scientists. They were very cerebral and understood the workings, the physics of the universe very well, and helped me understand, kind of helped me remember the physics of the universe and how to do the alchemy that we need to do here during this time. And then over years, as I kept popping in there, I began to realize this one elder I was tagged to or linked to. He's like my lifeline, and it was a male. But I would also be able to kind of move into his form with him, I'm thinking, this is odd. Am I incarnated here as a male elder? And over time, I began to understand, no, this is actually my twin flame who is incarnated there. So I'm able to just kind of step in and merge in, and because of us being of the same frequency, same genetic origin and frequency, be able to step in with him, be present inside with him, and as the elder at the Syrian Council. So it's really quite fascinating to see how we have these other timelines where our oversoul is very active and present in the magic that's happening in this universe. And that was one of them that was quite strongly guiding me, I would say, in the first 10 years that I came here, because I felt so alone and isolated. So it gave me like a lifeline, if you want to call it, to feel like I'm not alone. It was really helpful.
They also taught you and instructed you on the Vortex Method.
Yes. So being
this
there.
Is what they used as a template for transformation for our universe. Was this template used just for our local universe or even beyond?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. I think, I've only seen it really applied in this universe, but I don't think I've ever really looked to see if it was happening beyond this galaxy. But it does seem like a universal template for all of us. This is why I don't call it Meg's Vortex. This isn't mine. I'm just like a guardian of it. But it is using the sacred geometry of creation here in our universe. So it's applicable for anywhere you want to apply it. And they Syrians are masters of it. And I think, when I would go and look at my walk-in experience there in Tepi, Egypt, I would also see those blue beings there. The Syrians were there working with the Egyptians to help them understand the mechanics of vortex energy and sacred geometry, and being able to, shift gravitational fields and all the stuff they were doing there before we had the fall consciousness come in, the fallen consciousness come in Atlantis. So it was so there does, and I see this thread between the Syrians, the Egyptians, the original Egyptians, and the Lemurians even prior to the Egyptians. So they seem to have kind of cross-populated in these different civilizations.
It's interesting because both you and I were guided not to work with other teachers and to really stay clear of channeled information or anything that would clog our own channel or our own viewpoint. And we met, I can't remember how long ago, maybe we met probably 8 years before I had a chance to work with you. And I said to my team, I really want to work with Meg. And it took me 8 years. Finally, I threw a fit, really, like a cosmic fit. I said, look, I've been on this lonely highway for a long time. I'm ready for a teacher. I'm ready for a teacher. And it was the first person, actually, that I've ever set out and asked for was you. Wow. And it was interesting because the year that we worked together, the minute I went into your vortexual system, and I can totally understand why they said no for 8 years, was because we were doing the exact, not exactly, but we were applying ourselves in the same manner for our own inner evolutionary process. Vortex spin that you were in, I remembered being in. So in terms of it being a universal alchemy, I completely agree with you. I was like, I remember this. I remember tweaking it a little bit differently in class during, as I was learning, because I had that memory.
Right. And there's so many people like that, just like you. They just, they're like, they take it and run. They're like, oh, I'm home. This is it. I remember this, and it's so natural for you guys. So it's really thrilling to see when that happens.
What I would say to other starseeds, and I when I get someone who's a walk-in or thinks they are, or anybody who's going through a type of process that I feel you're a mastery of, which I do, I send them your way. Why? Because I feel that you have really laid out, not just with your book, but with also your courses, a step-by-step guide on how to do the daily homework to unlock the Ascension vehicle. And I don't use Ascension very lightly. I actually don't even use it in my own wording with my clients. unlock the polarity fields within the body and clear out that inner column. And that's how you get that soul in, and that's how you get your power, and that's how you can start doing the things that Meg is talking about, as you begin to do the daily homework of getting soul empowered. What could you say right now to anybody listening, how they can begin to step up and move forward if they're interested in your work?
Some YouTube videos that you can follow me as I'm walking you through the steps and see if it's something you resonate with or feel comfortable with. We have in our archives 7 or 8 years of podcasts. These are shows that I've done with live activations, and because they've been recorded in the timeless quantum vortex, they're active anytime you listen to them. So it's a great way, without putting any money investment into it, to just step in and try it and sense it. And that way then you get a taste of it, and like Althea, you're either going to take it and run with it, or it's not something you're ready for or want right now, because it is an accelerator. It is an ascension tool. It is an accelerator, so it will start speeding you up to increase your energy frequency and start to help you kind of remove these imbalances that we've been talking about in consciousness and code and patterns and programs. So it's going to go to work on you as soon as you start stepping into it and working with it. My mission is to just share this out into the world, and so people are it's really free will choice, as we all know. If you want to step it up a bit, it's a quantum leap for sure.
So how do you define ascension in your practice?
See it as a stair-step process where we are literally ascending up into higher and higher frequency, which opens us up to higher dimensional access, which opens us up to transforming the physical density into what we call light particles instead of dense particles. I see us ascending into in a sense, going up to heaven and then bringing heaven back down here and embodying it, grounding it in. So to me, it is a. People say, well, when will it be done? It's not something you're going to just do for a short period of time. This is where you are literally ascending higher and higher in soul evolution and human evolution, and so to me, it is a lifestyle, and every year, I'm able to access more. I'm able to tap into more of my soul's abilities and knowledge. I'm able to do more, and that's what keeps me going. I'm so curious and want to see how far I can go with my full potential. So it is something you really dedicate yourself to.
And like you, I have that same type of curiosity. It's like if there's a glass ceiling, I want past it. I want to understand what I can do. It reminds me of this one client. She just kept asking questions. She said, well, I figure if I badger my team, they will grow tired of me. She just refused to stop asking questions. Her curiosity was so strong. But I love what you said in terms of you bringing heaven on back to earth, because I was born with the heaven on earth memory. That's what I was in. That was my. So I feel like for me, I'm going back to full circle. And one of the keys to that is being deeply rooted into your body. You have to be strongly rooted into your body if you want to go higher. You cannot be disconnected.
No.
And you mentioned that in your book, too, and I thought that was so key for you to say that, because this is not lifting out of your body and staying in the upper realms, therefore not taking responsibility for your walk here on the earth.
It's so true, and I had kind of had to learn this one the tough way. I'd get the little finger wagging from my higher team, right? Meg, stay in your body. I would try. I guess I was astral traveling all over the place. Problem is struggling. I can't make a buck. Like, what's wrong with me? They're like, get in your body and charge up your own soul magnetism so you can draw what you need, because we literally attract what we put out. And if I was empty inside and vacated, I was just putting out emptiness. There's nothing it could draw back in. So it was really important. We're not here to avoid the human experience. We're here to transform the human experience, and so we have to bring it back inside us. And I'll tell you, I spent 4 years living in Mount Shasta and just looked around me, and everyone was out of their body. They're all like airy-fairy and living in some imaginary reality. And I'm like, oh my God, you guys have got to get in your bodies if you want to change your life. So yes, it's such an important part of this.
And in your book, you go over specific chapters where you're talking about the shadow self and victim consciousness.
Yes.
And so I would recommend to any starseed out there that truly is struggling with, their own fractured self or feeling very paper thin energetically to reach out to the book or reach out to Meg's work, because this is giving you an opportunity to look at it and transform it if you're willing to do the work. Because ultimately what we're looking at is being able to access your biocircuitry and sensory system, that internal chakra antenna system, so that you can begin, as Meg would say, to discern and distinguish the very nature of incoming energy. To ignore my own biocircuitry sets me up for failure, because yes. I am ignoring the cues of my higher self, my universal system, that's saying don't go down the street or don't get involved in that venture because it's not going to pan out the way you think it is. And so we're moving out of, as Meg would say, airy-fairy, hopes and wishes, that everything's going to be fine, and back into the body where we're now taking the cues. That is the right decision for me to make because it feels right. My heart feels open towards that system, or it doesn't.
It's so true. I was like you. I wasn't allowed to really read too many spiritual books or listen to too many people, but the one teacher I was able to read was Eckhart Tolle and The Power of Now, and he talks all about presence, having that presence inside. Well, now I know what he means, and that is your divine self. That's your presence, and so we have to bring that presence into the body, and then, like you said, it's constantly communicating to us. It's giving us all kinds of signs, and that sensory body, you can trust it. It's telling you what is a match for you or not, and you will feel it. When you tune inwards and start really paying attention to your sensory body, it's going to tell you if this feels nice and yummy and it's a match, or it just feels like, ugh, don't go there. And so I had to stop listening to the monkey mind, the ego mind. It just got me in trouble, and really start paying kind of more attention to the gut brain and to that intuitive sensory core that we have, and following those inputs, right? And it keeps you on your path.
Right. And again, it will always come back to that self-responsibility piece for your own energy field and learning. It's almost like reading your own book for once, reading the book, your internal book, how you discern between a right decision and a wrong decision. And when you finally make a decision that feels right for you, and I'm using this loosely, there isn't a wrong or right, but it's like if you're following one that's more spirit-guided rather than one that's based on ego, you begin to develop the wisdom that goes with both of those systems.
And then you get immediate feedback when you've locked on.
Well, today you get it's almost painful.
Yes, it is.
I mean, you start clearing out, and I've always told clients, are you sure you know what you're asking for? Because when you start bringing in light, I mean, one of the reasons I can tell if someone's really had a light activation is because when it happens to you, the light is so powerful, it singes.
Yeah.
It singes you, and it can put you on your butt so fast. And so it's like I'm very careful when I ask, and I'm in right mind and know to ask what I'm asking for, because it opens up that biocircuitry. It creates an extreme sensitivity on a very dense planet.
Yes.
And you have to be able to cope with that sensitivity as you go through life.
Yeah.
Because that's that biofeedback system saying to you.
Constant feedback. You're going to know it in your face. Yes. In
your face, exactly what you put, and there has to be grace and compassion with that too, which I know Meg holds, with her angelic presence. And I know I hold just, from being a human's gotten flattened so many times, it really is about having that grace, compassion, and some laughter over the self, because we're learning.
Yeah.
So I'm going to invite you into the hot seat. It's a fill-in-the-blank question and answer. Are you willing to go in the hot seat?
Okay.
As an Avatar Angelic Walk-In, how's humanity doing so far?
Well, I feel it's doing better. and I'm really excited about like our younger generation is really woke, and so it gives me a lot of hope for the future. I do feel that some of humanity is still pretty distracted and asleep, and still may need a little bit of some shaking up to wake up. But I'm very heartened in the last 5 years since 2012 with how the direction that humanity is going into. I think we are doing a great job.
For all of the light workers out there who are taking responsibility for their soul embodiment and their choices, what could you offer them today that would help them go even more farther down the road?
Oh, that's a great question. Working with the heart. The heart center is our bridge between the lower physical world and what we call our non-physical world or metaphysical world. And the heart, of course, carries the wounding from both this life and past lives. If you've been in the Earth's matrix for some time, I had to do a lot of heart healing, and it was really just tight and compressed. I could barely breathe. There was just so much trauma held into the chest and the heart center. And so I worked with a breath worker, and I worked with healers that could help hold the space so that I could come inside there with what I would call, our inner human psyche, our inner child, inner human self. She just looked like she was flat like a pancake. My poor little human needed help. So it was being very loving and compassionate with the human aspect, because we really are bringing this divine self to merge down and in with the human self, where they come together and they unite and go into more harmonious, like oneness, unity consciousness. So working with your heart, please give it priority. Don't feel like you can skip that step, that we really need to heal the heart to be able to just blast open our energy body and be able to embody the soul inside.
Thank you, Meg.
Yeah.
So, Starseeds, if you'd like to know more about Meg and her work, her link will be provided below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more InnerTV interviews. Thank you, Meg. And until next
pleasure.
time, everyone, bye.